Hey everybody, what's going on? Eric here. Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. So I've been kind of laying low a little bit here and there, taking a little bit of a break from the whole YouTube thing, and just taking care of a few things with the PRS wannabe kick guitar and a few things around the house. So what I've got going on is did a pour on the back of the body. So this is pretty much basically 100% coated in epoxy resin, front, back, sides. The only thing is the neck pocket itself, because of the, it's got to be bare wood in order to glue the neck in, and that's been taken care of already. So that's basically, I had to put the neck in order to put the epoxy resin, because I wanted to get a nice seam going around the neck, which I still have to remove the tape over here. But so the epoxy resin kind of flows into the neck a little bit, and you still have the transparency of the epoxy, so it looks like that there is, if you ever look at like an Epiphone or a Gibson or something like that, and you see how the clear coat goes into the neck, that's basically how this is going to look. And without changing the color of the neck around the neck pocket, it's going to look like they kind of flow into each other, like if it was one piece of wood. But I tell you, you can't get this gloss out of a spray can or out of a spray gun like this without having to do a hell of a buffing job. I mean, you can see all the tools that are on the counter, they're up here. You can make them out just perfect. You could read the box. I don't know if it's my eyes that are blurring up or if it's the camera that's blurring up. I mean, you can see the box perfectly and the writing that's on the box in this finish. I love this stuff. So all the sides, the binding came out really good. No problems with that. And like I said, I sprayed the back of this thing with some satin black spray paint, and was able to scrape it off the binding with no problem. So you got some little bit of the striping going on in the finish itself, and there's some things that are kind of popping up a little bit out of the epoxy, which is what I wanted to see with this. And yeah, so how is this thing free floating? I got a couple of screws in the neck pocket, and they're holding the body up off of the surface of the counter. That made it a lot easier to flip this thing upside down. I still got some tape over here I got to peel off. I had it masked off at the binding. So I am going to sand the sides of this thing and flatten them out and even them up, because when the epoxy flowed over the edges, it kind of gets a little bit of a wave in it. I don't know if you could tell that in the camera or not, but that has to be smoothed out, and that's kind of like not a big deal at all. So like I said, I poured this yesterday. I poured 2 coats of this on there, and what you have to end up doing is basically waiting for like 4 or 5 hours before applying the second coat. Now that first coat is still wet, still tacky, and when the 2 coats kind of cure up together, it makes this thing almost bulletproof. So here I have a piece of it that's just a runoff off the guitar as I poured it. I kind of mix a lot of this shit because I want to make sure that the body has a good coating of it. So this is the runoff that was on top of the wax paper, and I cut it out, and basically, here it is. But it's not fully cured. I could bend this. So I could shape this kind of to anything that I want to, and keeping that shape is kind of a pain in the ass, because as soon as I lay it down like this, it wants to flatten itself out. So if you ever want to try to do something where you want to make something, and it's going to have to be either taped, or you're going to have to do something with getting this thing to where it'll keep its shape and not have a problem. Like right over here, I'm making a little bit of a stand for tablets or cell phones. So I'm going to have to trim this top piece off over here. And this is still flexible up until probably like 3 or 4 days, and it'll be totally cured to where this won't bend at all. It won't go back to flat again. So I had to mask up a little bit on the front over here to keep this curve around this bowl. And then it goes down inside of here and then up straight. And this will be cut off over here, flat and even. So when I put this on top of like a counter, it's not going to rock back and forth, but yet it'll still hold a cell phone or a tablet. I have some gripping material that I use for the inside of the Floyd Rose cavity as a padding. I'm going to put that on the front on this over here, and then around the corner edge over there. That'll hold, like, you know, like I said, a tablet or a cell phone pretty damn good. Hopefully this thing isn't going to be all twisted when I get it finished, because of the way gravity takes over with this stuff and makes it flatten out to where, like right now, it's basically flat with the countertop again. So it will hold the shape. If I put this over something to like make it a bend, or kind of put something in the middle of this and just hold it, have it suspended, it'll kind of start folding around, and gravity takes over and pulls this thing down around that, and it'll stay cured that way. So that's what I like about this stuff. It's kind of easy to work with once you get the hang of it. And so far, I've been getting the hang of this stuff pretty damn good, to where I don't have to do a lot of sanding anymore. The front of this thing is pretty much done. I mean, there ain't nothing that I gotta do with the front of it. I'm trying to get away with not having to buff out anything, and very minimum sanding to begin with. So that's what I'm kind of hoping with this. Like I said, the edges have to be sanded, which I kind of figured that out, because, you know, I do have a little bit of a line over on top of the binding where the tape was. So as far as pickups and everything goes with the electronics with this, I kind of figured out a little something that I want to do. So I'm going to get over and switch over to a different location for the camera. Alright, so here are some of the new and recycled parts that I'm going to be using for the wannabe PRS kick guitar. So first thing off, I have a brand new set of Goto tuners. I kind of like these. These things are pretty nice. I haven't had any problems with them. Installing them is pretty simple. It's a basic 10mm hole that has to be drilled, and yeah, they work out pretty good. The ones that come with the kick guitars, they're okay. They do work sometimes. Depending on, I guess, the kit, and sometimes you may see that there might be a brand name on them that, yeah, they're not really what they are meant to be. I've got a lubricated tusk nut that I will be putting on this thing, and that'll have to be cut, shaped, and, you know, installed. So as far as the used parts go, I have a set of pickups over here. One of them is the Epiphone neck pickup that came out of the Joe Pass Emperor 2, and then I have a Bridge Seymour Duncan JB, which these two are going to be like the recycled parts that are going to go into this thing. This I picked up, somebody was selling a bunch of parts online. I ended up picking this thing up. I tested it. It works. This one here is, like I said, out of the Emperor 2 that I ended up selling a long time ago now. It used to be gold, but the nice thing about rubbing compound is that this plating does not last very long, even on the bridge or the tailpiece, when you start using rubbing compound on it. Now this is a Epiphone. It's got the Epiphone logo inside there. This is the neck. Figured I'll use it. I end up putting in the Epiphone ProBuckers on the Joe Pass just as an upgrade. There's nothing wrong with those pickups, so I've held on to them. This is the three-way switch that was also from that guitar, and it says Epiphone going down each side of the mount rails. I'll end up polishing this out too, getting rid of that gold tint to it. Now, these are push and pull pots, and I'm not too sure of what type of a tone cap I'm going to put on this thing yet. Probably a higher number, since the Seymour Duncan works good with distortion. It also sounds pretty good clean, but So it'll probably be a higher number cap. But the bridge pickup is also going to be split and run series in parallel. So I'm going to end up having both of those settings on this guitar as well for only the bridge pickup. So the bridge, I'm replacing this one here. This is a 2-point just standard kick guitar, bridge, probably pop metal as far as the block goes that's on here. I got a Wilkinson's Godot Wilkinson's bridge coming, and it's going to replace the 2-point bridge that's already on this thing, or for this thing. Now, the one thing that I kind of wanted to mess around with, now I'm not too sure if I'm going to go with the silver knobs to match everything that will be silver on here, or go with the black knobs that I picked up that kind of have the bird inlay on them. But the bird inlay that's on these is not the white like the bird inlays that are on the neck. This one's got the multicolored bird inside them, and it may or may not match too well with the guitar. So I'm kind of leaning still with the silver ones, the chrome ones, instead of the the black ones with the multicolored bird on them. If this guitar was probably black hardware on it, then I would probably use the black knobs. So that's all the parts that I have for this thing right now. I'm still waiting for the bridge to show up. Basically got everything that I need to start the wiring process and getting the harness built. Now I do have the Epiphone output jack, but I also have something God, I can't remember what the brand name was, but it's a better quality as far as an output jack goes. I have one of those in the drawers, and I could probably use that instead of using the Epiphone, but I might recycle the Epiphone output jack, because like I said, there was nothing wrong with the parts that I took off of the Joe Pass guitar. I just wanted to upgrade what was on there, make it a little bit more interesting for a buyer when I sold that thing. And I got a pretty good buck for that thing as well, a lot more than what I paid for it, that was for sure. So yep, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Thanks everybody for sending me an email, asking how I was doing and why I haven't put up any videos. Thanks for your concern. Like I said, just been kind of laying low and kicking back and doing a few things around here, and you guys seen me pour enough epoxy that I kind of know how to do it. So figured, well, I'll just show you after the fact instead of during the fact. Make a shorter video of things instead of such a long one. All right, thanks for your guys' concern. Take it easy, have a good one, and I will catch up with you guys later.